International Freethinkers. You're listening to the We Are Sober podcast.
All right, and we're here. Welcome.
Man, that shit's hot.
It's fire, right? You like it?
Yeah, I kind of want Randall to do a new audio every time there's people on, so he can say their name too.
I know.
Sure.
Oh no, not you.
You want to do this later?
He was pronouncing the guy that actually did the voiceover. His last name is Randall. His name is Matthew.
Mathew Randall.
It sounded really good.
Yeah. Right?
We can have multiple people. We can like layer it and mix it, and it'd be great.
I was about to say just dub it.
Yeah,
meaning Jena layers it and mixes it.
No, we'll let Oz handle the mixing.
Oh God,
part.
Yes, he's a DJ.
He's a master at it.
I'll pay you. I can pay rent. Okay. Anyways, hi. We're professional. Welcome. Unfortunately, Cynthia McDonald could not join us tonight. She is feeling ill, so we give our love to Cynthia. We'll catch her on the flip side next time, but she's always a frequent guest, frequent flyer, so we'll welcome him back. But we still got Randolf Richardson and Oz from Tang Gang. Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you both.
Thank you.
What up, Tang Gang?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously most of, if not all of the community here knows each of you, but Richard Richardson. I wanted to say Richard. I'm sorry.
It happens all the time. Don't worry about it. It's okay. I know you mean me.
I do.
Richard Randolphson. Atheism is normal guy.
King Canada Canadian of atheism.
King Canada.
King Canada. Please introduce yourself.
Well.
Please.
Okay, I'm running an organization here in Canada called the Canadian Atheists, and what we're trying to do is to bring more normalcy to the public perception of atheism, because there are people who attempt to stigmatize it or vilify atheists just because we don't believe in any deities. And so one of the things that we encounter is when somebody's asking, do you believe in God? If an answer is yes, okay, that's considered normal and they go on their merry way or have a conversation. But if the answer is no, what some people do is they react in a condescending manner, or they'll say they're worried about our future because we're going to go to hell or whatever, as if it's a bad thing to not believe in deities. So we're trying to change that. We're the Atheism is Normal campaign, which Oz has been fantastic supporter and promoter of. Thank you, Oz. I really appreciate all the work you do on this. And what we're trying to do is use a non-confrontational and gentle approach to it. We're asking people to do less rather than more. So we're asking them to do less. What I mean by that is we're asking them to not go down the road of vilification and all of this, and just treat us the same as they treat fellow theists, and just accept it as normal and have a conversation with us, or just go on their merry way. So we're hoping that this will appeal to the easier approach. And I see Aunt Jer is saying something about my shirt reminding her of Kent Hovind.
She got jokes.
Some people have told me I wear it better. So
you do.
I don't know if Kent Hovind will ever respond to this, but
there's not a number on the back.
I've still got the tag, but I can't read it from here. I'm not that flexible.
Well,
where's Dr. Josh when you need him?
Hey, he can imitate Kent's voice so well. When you listen to him, you can't tell it's Josh, Dr. Josh. It sounds like Kent Hovind. So,
what country are you from?
Oh yeah, to answer your question, I know he's from South Korea. I'm from Canada.
No,
really?
No way.
Honestly, the shirt rang Hawaii, even though that's a state.
We're multicultural here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Randolph. Oz, please introduce yourself to the community.
My name is Oz. I'm an alcoholic. No, I'm kidding. I'm Oz. Cheers.
Cheers to you all.
Okay.
From well, they said Tangang from the Atheist Network group, and so that's what we do online. You can catch us there. We got all kinds of crazy shit that we do there. We have very serious shows, and we have other shows where it's just pure comedy and satire. So no matter what you want or like to listen to, hopefully you can find it there. And I think that's part of what Randolph was talking about. I think that's a part or a step in normalizing atheism, is that you get to see that as atheists, we don't just hate God all day. We don't just love to sin all day. We don't love to just bash your God all day. We're human beings. We're individuals that also like to laugh and talk about other things and enjoy other things. And I think that's a step in that direction as far as normalizing. But that's what we do online. And then I know we'll get more into the activism stuff here in a minute. But we have an event, like an in-person event coming up in May for this, this reason. And then individually, COVID has kind of slowed it down, but I have a project that I work on. It's called Dirty Work, where I go and I hang out with homeless people for hours. I feed them, help them get clothing, help them try to find jobs, that kind of thing. So I'm eager and excited to dig in.
Awesome. Thank you. I know with Cynthia, she does a lot as far as advocating for rights for freedmen, chattel slavery. So she's been on this show. She actually has the longest running of one of our episodes, over 2.5 hours of an episode of her just ranting and raving in the best ways. So, she's always the GOAT, and we hope that she feels better. And of course, she'll be back to talk more on that. But since we have you both here, you both in your own right do support and advocacy offline in the best way, shape, and form. I know Oz, like you just mentioned, you have the conference Better coming up in May. And of course, Randolph, you're pretty much all over the place, if not building onto the TNT studio. So, but you both demonstrate a uniqueness to supporting the community on and offline. And we wanted to try and highlight that because I know it's something that Justin and I continuously have conversations about as far as support, building community, because, just being labeled an atheist or a non-believer doesn't mean anything other than your lack of belief or faith. Trying to build and finding support from others that share that same mind frame and mindset is what's needed. So you both, including Cynthia and all others that we've yet to meet and welcome in the future, we recognize that tremendously. So thank you.
Ooh. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This is kind of like you were saying, Oz, it's kind of like a ongoing evolution in what we are seeing around the online activists or online atheist YouTubers and advocates and stuff. Is it's a shift away from just atheism and just religious bashing. Now there's definitely still a need for that.
Amen.
And there's definitely some areas and a lot of people that is definitely the highest priority. But there's a lot of us, especially the people that are able to come out and do these shows openly or get out in the field and talk to people, that's kind of like it's something that kind of binds us together, but it's like it's not being legislated and enacted and infringing on our rights in a way that some of these other issues are that are more prominent.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is like a broadening of the goals of the entire community to some degree. And, it's kind of hard to, for some people to like get on board with that. But I think it's important to advocate for normalizing it in a way that we can still talk about it. Well, we want to get past that and onto other things that we like and that we enjoy, and other rights that are being infringed on, and other activities that we're being excluded from, and just all these other issues that surround it. And like you said, just not just that one thing that we all happen to agree on. And so I think last week we had a discussion about the online communities and online activism, and we wanted to kind of shift a little bit into talking to people that are out there, talking to people, like I know Randolph does like blood drives, and he's building like a studio and doing lots of things.
I just need to correct. We haven't actually done blood drives, but we do encourage blood donation. We would like to do blood drives in the future, but with the COVID-19 pandemic, we haven't been able to organize any gatherings.
You're right. So I should have said that you've been encouraging other people to donate, and you've been out there donating and hanging out with Neil and other people and doing this stuff together in person. And
he is so passionate about blood donation, and it was nice we could donate together every 2 months. And another fellow was joining us as well. Hello, Kevin Chaos. And it's unfortunate that he had a blood clot a number of months ago, and is on anticoagulants, so he can't donate for now. But he's looking forward to eventually getting off those so he can get back to donating, because he just loves doing that. And he is so popular at among the nurses at the blood donation facility that whenever I go there, the first question everybody asks me, they don't even say hello. They say, "How's Neil? Where's Neil? Is Neil coming today?" He's just so friendly with everybody. It's great.
And it's something that's like it's so simple for people that are able to do it and maintain their health, and it's like not a health issue. It's like it's so simple. It's like relatively risk free. It's relatively cost free. It's like and it helps a lot of people, and we just don't really think about that. And in Canada it might be different, but in the US, if you're at a blood drive giving blood, everyone's going to assume that you're Christian or whatever, and there's some higher, more noble goal. But I know, the idea is to kind of destigmatize that and say, hey,
well,
we do regular people things too.
And there's also something that comes up a fair bit. People will say they have tainted blood, so they can't donate. Well, things have changed recently, for at least a year or two now, where you can donate tainted blood if you've got it. They will use it for scientific research, which means that they don't have to use untainted blood for certain scientific research now. So this is helpful indirectly, but it's still helpful because it means there's more available for both the scientific research and those who need it. Of course, those who need it, I assume, will have the higher priority. But this is all good because it helps people who are victims of severe burns. It helps people who are in surgery. And I think Jena can probably list a lot more situations given her area of expertise. So, and I just feel really good about it because even though I don't know who's being helped by it, it doesn't matter. It's a contribution to society. And I know for a fact it's helping people who are religious and non-religious. And it doesn't matter to me who it's helping. The important thing is it's helping people, and this makes society better.
Indeed. Before we dive too much, I know both of you in the private chat wanted to address something that was said as far as what I said, I guess, apparently. So I'll put it up here. Any chance of dumping that lack of language? It implies something deficit or lacking rather than a positive life choice or exercise of rights by positive intent. Oz, I'll allow you to respond first, and then I'll have you go.
Well, I appreciate that, but I'd prefer Randolph go first because
he has relinquished his seat.
I know he brought it up first, but I'll
be brief.
I do want to hear his
yeah, I've talked about this a number of times over the years, and the language I prefer to use is absence of belief, because I feel that lack does imply that something normal is missing. It's something that should be there is missing, and absence doesn't. It is more neutral in this sense. English is kind of a tough language this way, but what I will say is that I know when most people talk about a lack of belief, just because it's such a commonly used term, that's what they really mean. They don't mean to imply that there's something missing that should normally be there. So
Right.
Lokiva, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. You make an excellent point here. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I do appreciate the. I remember the first time I heard Randolph say absence, and I did prefer that over, and I do prefer that over just it's not there. You know, we lack this thing. You know, because I won't speak for you guys. I don't feel like I'm lacking for much in my life. Like I've got.
You're not missing something.
Yeah, I have a great life. You know, so I'm not lacking anything. But it's funny because probably about a week, 2 weeks before I went down to Austin, I really started to dig in on some of these definitions and terms and everything. And not only that, but the arguments behind them. And I just got to the point where it was like, no, I'm an atheist. I don't need the agnostic part. I lack or whatever. I'm an atheist. I see no good reason to believe. There's no good evidence. There's no reason for me to believe in this. And the burden of proof is on you, theist, to give me that information. And until then, I just don't believe. I don't need to posit all these other terms just to meet your need, right? It's their need because they keep creating all these other arguments and titles and so on and so forth. So it's all you know, going from atheist to agnostic atheist and so on and so forth. The only reason we even have to do that or need to do that is because of the theist and the apologetics behind it. So I'm done with it. I'm done conceding that shit. I'm done conceding that Jesus was a guy. I'm done conceding that God may exist. I'm done with all that. So now I'll shut up.
No, you're good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
I think
It's off abruptly.
I think there's a lot of people that we're kind of in this realm where this is just like a topic that comes up often. So we find ourselves in this awkward position of finding language to explain it all the time. But there's a lot of people out there that are, scientists and philosophers and just people that are generally away from this sphere that just say it just never comes up. It doesn't cross my mind. I don't think about this. I don't see like a way that it interacts with reality in any way. So I don't know why I have to come up with words to explain what I do or don't believe. I talk about other things. So we're just kind of like, because this is the realm that we operate in, we're forced to find words, and it's good to find, like you're saying, a positive way to say it, or at least a neutral way to say that, that we're not missing something. We're just trying to navigate the world as the way we see it, and not have other people's words and beliefs and everything put upon us, and we're just constantly on the defensive side, like Oz is saying.
Yeah, and Justin and Jena, what's and even Randolph, why do I need any other verbiage, any other words to tell you that I don't believe in Santa Claus?
Because
I don't say that I am an agnostic atheist Santa Clausist.
Hey, I just watched the movie Elf, and I just need to know who eats the cookies. Okay, you can't explain that one.
That was me. That was me. I ate the damn cookies.
That's how you know you have kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the extra verbiage attached or before the word atheist, if not, but I mean, that's fair. I guess I don't really have a fair argument or response to that because I never really thought as much on it. I know, Randolph, you had a bit of what you wanted to dive into as far as the word agnostic. You can briefly state it if you like. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So there's when it comes to atheism, or first of all, theism is believing in one or more gods, goddesses. Atheism, the A prefix, or alpha privative, it's called, means exactly the same thing as the non prefix. They're synonyms. They just mean without or absence. And there are sometimes people will use the word to mean more than that. And there is kind of a misstep comes from academia, I notice sometimes. Some academic circles, not all. There's others that don't make this mistake. But what they're doing is they'll say, oh, in philosophy, atheism means you're taking a position, there are no gods. And this isn't coming from philosophy. This is coming from a subset of philosophy called philosophy of religion. There's one person named Mr. Draper is or Dr. Draper, I guess. He's written an article for the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy that talks about atheism and agnosticism and acknowledges what the common usage is. I was in an email thread with him recently, and although I wasn't a very active participant because it was mostly other people talking, but they included me, and he specified what I just said, is that it is part of philosophy of religion. So my point on this is that philosophy of religion has a focus on religion in the context of philosophy. It does not have authority over what atheism is, even in philosophy. In philosophy of religion, they can define it however they like. So I've been lately correcting people and saying, look, that's in philosophy of religion. That's not general philosophy. Okay. So, and I'm getting pushback from people on this who seem to very often respond very angrily. And these are the people who are very pedantic about the terms. Now, belief or non-belief would be, you could put it as a psychological state kind of category. And in the when it comes to agnosticism, the word gnostic means knowledge of the mystical, or in this case, most people are using it talking about deities, goddesses, and gods. So it's knowledge of gods. Agnosticism would be the absence of that knowledge of the mystical. This is a very rough way to look at it, but the point is the Gnostic and agnostic terminologies are epistemological. They're about knowledge, about knowing something, as opposed to theism and atheism, which are about believing and not believing in deities. And that, so they, to me, are two separate categories. I have a friend who's a Catholic, and he says, we had a conversation about this a few years ago, and he said he is definitely a theist. He believes in his God, but he's also agnostic because he doesn't know if that God exists. He knows it's all faith. So there are agnostic theists, even though there are people out there who deny that. So they are separate categories that are independent of one another, but they make good bedfellows.
That's fair. I mean, no matter the label, and I don't want to dive too much off in a tangent for the purpose of the conversation. I just wanted to allow you guys to address what Lokiva was pointing out earlier. But no matter the label, we're here as secular individuals. I won't say secular humanists because, you know, not everyone attributes themselves as a humanist, but we do recognize as not having a belief in a higher power or metaphysical being, or however you want to label that too. The point is to strive for, stand for a purpose as secular individuals, and create and build on the movement to address those social and political issues and trends that we face also in the US, Canada, and everywhere else.
And part of presenting this, it is necessary to be clear on the terminology, because as long as the terminology is understood in this neutral way, which is correct right back to the etymology, and also consistent with the linguistic structure, how our language is put together, and the common usage, it's important to keep doing this, because there are some people who are trying to change that. Now, the secular aspect of this is that religion does not belong in a government institution. It has to be kept separate, because as soon as religion is in there, you see countries like Saudi Arabia and the Vatican and other countries that are ruling everything under religion. So laws have to take religion into account and go along with that, and they're very inflexible, and they aren't working very well with human rights, unfortunately. And so here in Canada and in the US, you want the secularism. We want it all over the world, because under secularism, a person who's religious can still be religious. They just can't impose it on somebody else, is all that it means.
Right. And it could be said that for a person that's non-religious, they almost attribute themselves better than most religious people do when it comes to sharing and supporting others without the notion, or without the adage, I guess you could say, of, someone of a higher power telling you to do so. You're doing it of your own, care and concern of each of us around, all of us around each other. So with that in mind, and something interesting that came out of Pew Research just recently, where there has been an increase in those that have become more out, or there are now more of the nuns out, and
You're
that
not
trend
talking
has
about
spiked.
the nuns.
No,
Okay.
of course not.
No,
not N-U-N.
there was
I
like
don't care for the nuns term, by the way, but
I think it was a 3% increase or some sort of increase
Right.
of people who identified under nun, and the nun is which religion do you follow, and it's none, right? So it's why the wording is weird, and
Right.
it's up to like 29% now, which is
Awesome.
historically it's
which country?
in the U.S.
Oh, okay, good.
And basically every group is shrinking except I think like mainline Catholics or something like that.
Well, Islam is growing.
Okay.
Islam is growing.
Yeah. But yeah, so
it's newer, so it's going to grow. Where Christianity is hitting its point where, yeah, we're watching it. It's now shrinking. But
yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
I think the importance to that is that if you look at a group as a group that needs to be appealed to win elections or as a voting bloc, that the more numbers you have, even if it's just on paper, the more people are likely to appeal to the wants and needs of that community. And so it just being on paper, just being on survey is one thing, but actually advocating for that group or on behalf of that group or making your wants and needs known is a whole separate thing. And that's kind of what this is about, and what you guys are doing is saying, hey, these are the things that we need. This is what we need from our politicians, from our government, from our communities. And we're getting the numbers, we're getting the people, we're getting the support to where you need to start taking this seriously if you want us to support you and back you and keep and if you want to represent us as a group with in some ways like specialized needs or protections or whatever it may be.
Yeah,
I don't want there to be special protections. I want the protections to apply to all people equally, and that is one of the beauties of secularism. Is that is part of the goal is to in secular societies at least to make things equal and level playing field for everybody, so that everybody can have the same opportunities regardless of whether they're religious and other factors as well.
Yeah, and if I'm understanding this the way I think I'm hearing, I always want to make sure I'm clear and I'm presenting my argument clearly. This just continues to delve into or go into the direction of what we talked about up top with Randolph and myself, and shout out to Pasta Mike normalizing in the chat. This continues to play into that narrative, where the more things that we can do, and the more ways we can find to make positive and significant impacts on our community, our culture, our society, and then it's like, oh, I would have thought that this would have been a religious organization doing this. Then come to find out that it has nothing to do with the religion. It has nothing to do with a God, a God's centralized organization. It's just people that care about fucking people, right? It's people that want to help people. And when those light bulbs start to go off, when it's like, oh, they don't need that to do this, especially in America, they don't need that God to do this thing. It fucks with their world, man. It fucks with their entire world, because they have this position that in order to want to do good things, to have motivation and want to put energy behind doing good things for people outside of themselves and their immediate family, that you need this deity, you need this God, you need this force that is beckoning you, to come and do these things. And that's, the more we can do those things and turn those light bulbs on, that's how we continue to watch those nuns, NONES, continue to jump up, and we continue to smash down that Christian number or population here in our country, which I am 100% in support of.
And
Yeah,
it needs to grow.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I have a long rant. You should go.
I was gonna say the theocratic Christians in this country aren't doing themselves any favor in recent years. So it's a combination of things. Like we're given this opportunity to show that we're better than that behavior, that we can do good without God, that we can support everybody's rights and not just our chosen group, that we can go like you're saying, feeding and helping homeless people or giving blood regardless of who receives it, and doing these acts and activities where we're like legitimately inclusive and not just in name. And so we have this opportunity to step up and show who's actually the good group here, instead of just defaulting to the Christian or Catholics or whatever are good because they are this religion.
I just want to point out real quick, my encounters with theists and atheists alike has led me to understand that the amount of good people and bad people in both of these demographics is pretty much the same. So what it boils down to, this is the nature of people, and some of them get involved in religion, some don't.
And one thing I've come to learn, and it's probably been going on for years, is there's a unique situation going on in the state of Utah. And that's majority of that is Mormons. Church of Latter-day Saints is one of those big churches there that has taken upon themselves to support the community, for welfare assistance. But it is at the beholden notion that you must be a part of their church or convert into their faith in order to receive that assistance. Case in point, there was a survey back in 2019 where nearly 90% of those seeking welfare, their applications were denied through the state of Utah. And so a lot of the advisors or caseworkers that manage those applications said, "Oh, just go through the LDS church; they'll support you." And so what do you do then? You live on the streets, you're hungry, or you don't make enough to support yourself, nor if you have children. So you seek whatever support or food or shelter or whatever through this other means, any means, in order for you to survive. So most have navigated towards the LDS church. And there was a piece where a woman, was at, that bottom point in her life where she just needed that support. And the church blatantly just said, we want for you to get baptized, before we give you this. And she downright denied it. And lucky for her, she just refused to even, be converted and things like that. But unfortunately, they let go of any support they were going to give her. They dismissed her. So where's the safety net after that? Did they go back to the state government to reapply? It's just a continuing cycle of more and more of those people in Utah and the surrounding residences around this damn church that find themselves in the street, suffering, begging for food, having their applications denied to not get the proper funding or assistance that they need. And you hold this, conversion bullshit over their head in order to get that support.
Yeah, and I want to. So Kelly in the comments said that Randolph is correct. It's a human problem. Yes, I would agree that there's a lot of this that is a human problem. But we cannot ignore that we do have a religion problem. interfere.
I wholeheartedly agree, by the way.
Yeah.
More broadly, we have a dogma problem.
Yeah, thank you. That's probably even better said, Justin. Thank you.
This is why secularism is so important.
And the reason I bring that up, and this is where I may get a little lit the fuck up right now, because being a former Christian for most of my life, we did inner city outreaches, we did homeless outreaches, we did you name it. I don't want to waste a bunch of time going through. We did all that shit, right? We did it, but there was never follow up. There was never follow up. There was never follow through on the promises. There was never checkups, check-ins, things like that, and all of those things being promised, right? Like those things didn't happen. And when I started doing what I do in the city that, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and going down on, it started by myself and it grew, but just I bought my own little electric scooter, and I literally just went around the city on Friday and Saturday nights at like 1 a.m, like passing out food and socks and sleeping bags and doing that shit. People automatically assumed that I was from a church. They automatically assumed it. And then as soon as I told them, I was like, well, no, I'm not from a church. I promise you, I'm not from a church. What blew them away is I didn't just come and bring, hot pizzas or sleeping bags or whatever. But more importantly than that, I hung out with them. Like even there was sometimes it was like 20, 30 degrees. And I'm like, it's cold as fuck. Right. But I knew how important that human interaction was. I knew how important it was for them to know that somebody cared. Somebody fucking cared enough to come down there and hang out. And I still have contact with several of these people. And now, and I'm not taking credit for it. So let's make this perfectly known. I'm not taking credit for this. But there are several of them now that have their own either like little studio apartments, or they've rented like a upstairs bedroom, at somebody's home. But the thing is, they went and got a job. And that's one thing I know that I talked to each and every single one of them that I ever got to talk to about was, how do you start and where do you start to get out of this? How do you climb out of this? Because let's be honest, here in America, the fucking system's against you. Once you're homeless, the fucking system is against you. Oh, you don't have an ID? Well, you can't do ABC and you can't do XYZ. Well, where the fuck do you go?
You don't have an address. You can't get help even if you could qualify for it. There's nowhere to send the support, and they won't send it to you. You can't get applications or social security cards or IDs or anything mailed to you.
It's maddening. Justin, it's maddening. And Jen, I'll say this really, really quick and I'll shut up. The other thing, I don't know how prominent the rescue mission is throughout the country. I know they're pretty popular, but here in Indiana, they're everywhere. And they're religious homeless like outreach or ministry, and they house them, they feed them and all that. But here's the catch though. And it's why I've been so passionate about helping and trying to make a difference here is, in order to be fed, in order to have a roof over your head and a bed to sleep in, you have to go to fucking chapel 3 times a day. 3 times a day. You got to go and listen to their God shit just to get help. I'm sorry. If you're a Christian, that's not in the book, bro. That's not in your book. It doesn't say in your book that in order to help somebody that's in crisis, in order to help somebody that's in pain and in need, that you have all these prerequisites. That's not there.
Thank you. You're setting prerequisites. Why? There shouldn't be. And it's a damn thing. I was going to say, as far as the welfare thing also in Utah, that a lot were denied initially from the state because they weren't poor enough. How do you not be poor enough to get assistance?
What does that even mean?
I don't even know what that fucking means.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Justin Randolph, what the fuck does that even mean? How do you measure that? Like, what is your measuring tool? Like, how do you even How do you even know that? How do you tell somebody that we're not going to help you because you're not fucking broke enough? Like what?
It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent.
And to your point, Oz, about making people do stuff, that's not helping people for the sake of helping them or out of the goodness of your heart, right? That's helping people to check a box on your good deed for the day, or the good actions or the works or whatever you want to call it.
Some people just need help.
now, granted, it's better to do that than to not do that, right? But if there's strings attached, you can't call it selfless. You can't call it altruism. You can't call it any of those things. But you could do it without that, and that's the point.
Good faith given. Yeah.
That it should be done without that. Without your eternal soul on the line every time you turn down a sandwich.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times just I would, because sometimes I would go down there with like a load of shit with me, like whether it's food and clothes and everything, and there'd be other times I just went down there to hang out. Like I brought no items, I brought no food, but as soon as they saw my ass coming on that scooter, like they loved it, right? They're like, this is our friend, and they lit up, man. As soon as I rolled up, they were like, oh man, my homeboy's here, and we would literally talk for hours. Like I would sit on the concrete with them, chopping it up for hours, and they loved it. And you know what? That's what you said. I agree, but I disagree with it. Like it's like it's good that you did it, but it's not good that you did it this way. I would actually rather them not do it at all. That's my preference. I would rather them not do it all because it gives this false sense of somebody's helping them. They're not fucking helping you. They're like you said, they're checking their boxes, they're doing those, but they're not providing them any way out. They're not giving them any methods, any good practices to get out of that lifestyle, right? They're if anything, they're fucking enablers because they want them to keep coming back so they can keep checking their goddamn boxes. That's
trying to add to their congregation.
Or until they get drawn into the church and then they're a part of that church now or that church community.
That sounds suspiciously more like a business.
Oh no, Randolph, it is. It's 100%. It's the rescue mission, at least here in Indiana, because I've dealt with it in a couple different cities. It is a business more than it is an outreach or whatever. But what? So I shared that that I would go down there and just hang out, whatever. And the common story that I heard from them there, and even I used to do similar shit when I was living in Columbus, Ohio. And there I went a step further. I even would sleep the night. Like I would stay the night down there, like behind dumpsters and shit, like hanging out and experiencing everything, the lifestyle, all of that. And the one thing that you hear, and if you guys want me to talk about this now or a little bit later, I could tell you how I was treated by the churches, especially in Columbus, when I disguise myself as a homeless person looking for help.
Tell it, please.
But the thing is, all of them told me, like when I say all, every single one, not one so far has said anything different, that the Christian ministries and organizations and churches, they come and let's say it's similar to what I talked about, where they bring pizza. They drop off the pizza, they do their deed, and they fucking disappear. And they don't come back for like a year. And then they come back around a year from that and they drop the pizza off again. And it's like, well, I mean, okay, it's food. At least you didn't do any damage. Like at least you fed them. But why, like, why not offer more than that? Like, yeah, feed them. But why aren't you helping them get out of that? Like, why aren't you doing more than just dropping off a pizza? That's what I don't get, and I don't understand in that circumstance, because I know talking to them, they're like, we would love to, have help and get out of this situation and have somebody give us direction. And I thought that's what the fucking church organizations were supposed to be doing for these people.
They say that's what they're supposed to be doing.
If they're just going to drop off a bunch of boxes of pizza once a year, I think it'd probably be better if they just take the money for that and donate it to the food bank.
God damn it, Andrew.
It'll save them time.
I love it. Me too, Andrew.
Oz, I'll bring my minivan and we can pick up more pizzas
You're gonna bring the dad van?
Yeah.
than on your Vespa.
Yeah. Just a family man with the family van, got the goddamn family plan.
Damn,
with the high deductible.
Ain't no shame in the game. But I will say real quick, the because it is kind of like the I guess like inside intel. I went 3 days where I left my credit card, my wallet. I left all my shit at home. I took a backpack with some clothes and some blankets, had a sleeping bag, and I went in Columbus, Ohio for 3 nights and hung out, and it was cold as shit. It like I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I'm a hot-blooded guy, so I'm like, oh, the cold won't bother me. You get late at night and you're sleeping up against steel and on cold concrete. Oh man, like it hits you in your bones. It's so fucking cold. But we found, if you're not familiar with Columbus, Ohio, it's a very big city, so there's plenty of places to try to find or go. We tried to find. We didn't try. We did. We found 3 different places to go for lunch, for lunch and dinner when we were out there. I got treated better in the gas stations when I would ask people for 50 cents to get a hot coffee than I did at the churches.
And I want to comment on that, in that it might seem like there's something kind of strange about pretending to be homeless or hanging out with homeless people or dressing up this way or whatever it may be, but to the like I grew up like really poor, and when you're poor and you don't and that's all you know is poor people in the ghetto, and you don't know anybody that is successful or has that can show you that there's like a way out of that. Meeting somebody that respects you and talks to you like a regular human and says, hey, it doesn't have to be this way, it can be better, and I can help you or show you or just get to know you and treat you with respect. That is a big deal to people that don't know any better or that has never seen any better. And just having that human interaction with somebody that treats you on their same level and not judging you just for being poor or just for being in the, growing up in the wrong neighborhood or whatever it may be, that goes a long way for your mentality and your outlook on life and what you believe is possible and what is possible to obtain or to the level to, to bring yourself up to. Because until that happens, you just don't know any better.
Yeah, I agree. And I've had quite the roller coaster of a life when it comes to that, because I've been homeless twice, two different occasions, my younger years. So I get that. I've also been busting my ass and became a high earner, in my professional life. So I've really seen the two different sides of the scope. Right,
but it's not as simple as I'm just going to go get a job and if I work real hard, I'm going to make all this money. It just doesn't work that way. There's a lot of things that have to go right in your life for you to get there. And some people do all the right things and still end up on the street.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I will not push back on that. There's, for whatever reason, there's tons of people that do the right things and try to make the best decisions and still unfortunately end up, in that spot. And we don't have an explanation for it, but to what we're talking about tonight, it is how can we continue to help them, and support them and encourage them, even when life just keeps dealing them the bullshit cards,
Yeah,
it definitely takes.
I was going to say, when they know that they're not just a check in somebody's box, that sends a much more powerful message. Absolutely. That somebody actually cares about me and wants to know what I want to do as my hobby. What are the things that I like doing? What did I do before I ended up in this position? What kind of work do I want to do? what kind of music do I like? Because you can bring up something that plays music and just hang out and chill and listen to music together.
Find a connection.
Yeah, just having that personal connection goes a lot, further than here's a 50-cent slice of pizza. See you next year.
Yeah, there's two of them. I'm sorry, Jenna, go ahead.
Oh, I lost my thought. No, you're fine.
George,
there's two.
George from. Go ahead, Oz. Go ahead.
I was just really quick. There's out of the, I don't know how many folks that I've hung out with. There's two that I know that I've stayed in contact with that did take, and there are two of them that either have their own little studio apartments or whatever now, and I gave them the most basic ways to start earning money for themselves, right? And that was in the winter here in Indiana, it's a little tougher to do this. That's why if you pick your times right in spring and start going, you can do it. But start finding garage sales, because they live downtown, so they're very close to all these houses and all these neighborhoods, surrounding. Even if it's a $2 item, buy the $2 item. You can go on Facebook Marketplace, sell it for $3, and find the $3, sell it for $5. So, and start learning how to turn a profit, and what is your return on investment, and those kind of things. And I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation, but two of them actually did it, and now are paying their rent based on, like, they actually have other jobs now, but they got started and got their the deposits or whatever based on those principles, of selling and reselling. So it's not, for those that want to do it, it's not difficult to get started, but it is a discipline to keep going, because you literally got to start at like $2, right? That's the most difficult thing. You got to start at $2 and grow it to where we're, talking about paying bills and shit.
And that's huge, because even if all your efforts amount to just helping only one person, the ramifications distant in the future are massive, because these people have lives that they're self-sufficient, and they can start families and be members of society who are productive, and be hopefully even helping other people in the same predicament. I have a suspicion that most of them probably would be sympathetic to other people in the same predicament that they were in. Now, George from our audience just made the comment that the system is a mess. And yes, when I see that there are homeless people on the street, to me, that is an indicator that the government has failed, at least partly, in its primary role to protect citizens. And that is the primary role of government, to protect citizens. And if people are without a home, or without a dwelling that they can call their home, and living on the street and struggling, and there isn't a social safety net there, then that is a failure. And we really need to see things better this way. It's a shame that there's so many people pushed against it, and against these social programs. Yeah, and that's part of the struggle as well. And look what the stuff going on in Utah you're talking about, where there's a systemic problem of what did I call it earlier? Systemic sabotage of secularism is what I was calling it earlier. They're basically injecting religious compliance or religious conformance into a government program where it really doesn't belong. That's extortion. It's wrong. It's unethical. It has to, has to go.
Because all it's doing is trying to up their numbers, because they're adding that stipulation to grow their congregation. And this is beautiful. I appreciate this, because I don't have to reach far to hear the ignorance of, what people think as far as homelessness. I hear it in my own family. We can start by not assessing preconceived attributes to the homeless. For example, mentally ill, need Jesus, want to be homeless. And then Andrew, you beautifully noted, our drug addicts are lazy. Okay. I remember I wasn't driving. My mother and me and my sister were in the car driving down downtown LA. Downtown LA in general is a hot mess. It's so surprising. Just remembering seeing homelessness at a younger age, where it was like an older demographic of people on the street, and mostly men that I noticed when I was younger. Now, only within recent, maybe the last few months, driving those same streets, more women, and a lot younger, whole lot younger, and more, a lot of them on street corners, essentially people are fearful of their character, because they may be talking to themselves, they may be doing whatever have you on a street corner. And, the judgment is that, oh, they shouldn't have got themselves on drugs, or they should have stayed in church more, whatever the fuck they want to say. And, I've witnessed my own mother say those very things. And you have to find the opportunity to demonstrate and talk better, because I tried in that moment, but strong personalities win over quieter voices. But if you can find an opportunity to address those things and correct someone in that moment, please do so, because it's a telling thing to tell someone. And me and Justin have a mutual friend where they're at a point in their lives where shit is going to change, and they have a fear of not having a place to stay suddenly. And then the image of that person suddenly changes just because they are out of a job, or they make less money, or they dress differently, or whatever the case may be, based on the examples the chat has just listed. So if we can have that conversation constructively and be effective communicators, in which we can just change at least the minds, and not necessarily deconverting anyone, because that's not my purpose, but changing someone's mind and idea of what homelessness looks like, especially now, would be beneficial. And maybe, just maybe, the groups that say they are a part of that community and say they try to help the surrounding areas around this, church on every corner, would be better and do better.
And
Yeah.
I would say real quick, Jena, very well said, very, very well said. And I'll say, for those of us on the panel and anybody and everybody in the chat or watches this later, do you understand how quickly you can become homeless? Do you understand how quickly it could be you? It's not that difficult. It's not.
Look at where we've been last 2 years.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. It's not that hard to get to that place, right? And so think about that first and foremost. And with really quick, with the mental health and the addictions and all that. First of all, when people say that about mental health, that, oh, there must be mentally ill or they have issues, do you understand how much of our population has mental health issues or diagnosis, even if they're not diagnosed? Even
everyone
if
here, maybe not Randolph.
even if they're not. So are there people that are homeless? Are there people that are homeless that do have mental health issues? Yes. Sure. Yes. That's not why they're homeless. It can play a part. It's not why they're homeless. Are they homeless because they're addicted to drugs? Typically not. Actually, we can tie that back to mental health, because guess what? Our government doesn't take good care of us. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't step up to the plate. So what we have is people that may have mental health issues that need to be diagnosed and need to be treated. And rather than getting the treatment that they deserve from the government and from the healthcare options that we should have here in our country, they self-medicate. So are we to just 100% throw them into a heap and a pile and say, all of you are this because of that? Or do we say, you know what, maybe we should look in the mirror and say, as you know, and I'm talking about the government in the system, shouldn't we look in the mirror and say, you know what, we're failing. We're failing these people. We're, like what Randolph said, we're failing to do what we're supposed to do to protect and help and build up the people in our communities, in our nation. That's where it falls apart. That's where it falls the fuck apart, because if they had the proper therapy and they could actually have access to a therapist and a psychiatrist and do all of those things and go through the proper steps, they may not turn to a street drug, an illicit drug. But we as a country, from a government standpoint, we fuck them over. We fuck them over and don't take care of them.
Yeah, I want to just a real quick on what you said is we look at government as like this big nebulous thing that lives, that we have no control over, but our local government has a really big play into that. Mm-hmm. Our state government has a really big play into that, and then the federal level does. But even voting, like in San Francisco or in parts of California, where they're basically passing legislation where it's impossible to live on the street, that's a local city level politics that gets 15, 20, 25% turnout, that, just a small amount of percentage of people can have a big difference in that. So that's where that local, activism can make a big difference in that regard.
Absolutely.
But what you were saying earlier, Jenna, about language and stuff is that the way that we talk about people to the uninformed, or the people that don't know them personally, or just may not have been exposed to this, this particular group of people, the things that we say become a reality to them if they take us as people that they believe or look up to or take our word for it. And so talking down to people becomes what other people view them as. It becomes the reality. So language is really important in that regard of, like you're saying, if somebody is talking like that, to stop them and correct them, or at least make them think about what they're saying, rather than just, oh, this is how I was raised, this is what I was taught, this is what I saw other people say. Like, hey, this is a real person here with real thoughts and feelings. Why don't you go talk to them and ask them how they feel about what you're saying, or just ask them what they want you to call them, just like we would do, other groups of people that we care about. So that's just like a thing about language that I've been actually learning more about recently, of how that can really have an impact on just worsening the problem or slowly making an impact to make it better.
If I can, because we focused on the problems. So if I can real quick, give some encouragement to be a help, and kind of shift. If you're in the States, and Randolph, I don't know if you guys have like Meijer and the Walmarts, the Wally Worlds of the world.
We have Walmart here. Yeah.
You can pretty easily go into a Walmart and let a manager know kind of what you're doing, and you can get a discount. So I'm gonna start there. There's a reason I'm saying that. Start out basic. Like if we're just talking about the homeless community in the city you live in, the town you live in, whatever. Start out basic. I started out very, very basic, just like socks, I almost said sour cream, shaving cream.
Sour cream is the alternative.
Socks and sour cream. That sounds like it's going down a weird path.
And it shouldn't be this way, and you don't think about it, but shaving cream and some razors goes a long way to people trying to get a job.
Feminine fucking products. Just
I was getting ready to go.
In general,
so get about yes. Thank you, Jenna. It's so you get, say it's 6 to 10, whatever. Just little Ziploc baggies, and you have razors and shaving cream, for the guys, that kind of thing. And then another bag where it's the feminine products, and what else did we put in there? Oh, we put socks in. Just started handing out like 5 to 10 at a time, because that's where we started, right? It was like, we're going to start and we're going to grow it, and just start small. You don't have to go out and like make an impact citywide. You don't like start where you're at, start with what's manageable, and you'll be surprised how quickly it grows as far as other people wanting to help you. And before COVID hit, it started with just me all by myself, to where we literally had a parking lot full of other people coming to help, bringing bags of clothes, bags of food, bags of items. When people find out that you're doing it, they want to help. They just need to know that there's people helping. So to try to interject more of the, how do we help? How do we try to there's never be a cure, but to make it to make an impact, just start right where you're at and do it within the means that you're comfortable doing it.
You're convincing me more and more to drive down there with my dad van.
Hey, I'm all about the family vans, man.
If you paint it up to look like the Mystery Machine, please send pictures.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
It's getting even better.
So yeah, I kind of wanted, I thought that I wanted to bring up like the differences or the needs for more physical real world activism and or activities and stuff versus online. I just don't know if that's a good direction or a good distinction to make, or if it's really worth going down that route. I think they're both necessary, but I think there's some things that are online that some people that don't even know that atheism is an option, or that there are other people out there they can talk to. That might be the only way they can find them. But at the same time, people in the street, that this damn YouTube video is not doing them any good.
Well, think of it this way. Like I've said this many a time. I have given more as a atheist, as a non-believer now than I ever did when I was Christian. Like just to complete fucking strangers across the state or across the fucking country, doesn't matter where they were. I've given like hundreds of dollars. I don't know the exact amount, but I know it's more than $100, and it's been to several different people, whether it be actual cash or a microphone or donated my own camera. It doesn't matter. And I either given anonymously or it was my name. It didn't matter. And the point is that, when you see a need where it's not as localized and you can facilitate that need or meet that need, where it's more long distance to a person that you genuinely care about supporting, then that's a great benefit as far as these online communities. So I see where you wanted to go as far as giving those distinctions, but they're unique in their own way, to be quite honest. And it's better to have that broader reach if you can. And I think with even now, there's been marathons going on to help Lavender Lady, to help support her medical bills. There is something that Oz, that you're doing in supporting a woman and her children in need for abuse. It's a right now. So being able to reach those people when they're not as local, that's telling. And that's where you can see the most reach, I think. You can see reach from both, but I think online it has a great component as well.
Yeah, it works differently online because the whole world's connected. And maybe 10 or 15 years ago, the distinction could easily be made because people online and people who are not online, it wasn't so blurred. It was more clear. But now, because people have it in their phones, and there's even people who can't even afford rent, and they still have a phone because they need it to get the job that helps them barely pay for some things, So people do have access to these things. So it is all over the place, and yeah, it is a blurred line now. It's hard to bring the distinction.
It's kind of derail a little bit here because you mentioned money and giving thing before a little bit ago, and one thing that I've started doing recently that I never thought about before, and it's a lot of conversations about why we help people and stuff like that. But I don't like, I stopped letting people borrow money. So either I have it extra and I just give it to them, or I don't. Right now, I'm sure there's some situations where that might change, but like, I if somebody says, "Hey, can I borrow $10 or $20 or whatever it may be?" No, here's $20. Do what you need to do to get by. Like, don't worry about it. If I have it, you can have it. And I did that today with somebody who is somebody that I grew up with, and he texted me and was like, "Hey, I hate to ask, but I don't have any gas money to get to work." And I'm like, "Well, here's $20 or $30, whatever. Just, you got to get to work, dude. Like, I don't need to add extra stress on top of that of worrying about paying me back, next time you get paid, and trying to like, well, can I give you half so I can do that, blah, blah, blah." It's like, if I have it extra, I can give it to you. I'm just going to give it to you. And that's the same thing of like giving to people that are homeless or in need, or, just a little bit of financial support for a lot of people will go a long way. Some people are withdrawing or overdrafting on their bank because they're $5 short, and then they get a $35 charge. Like, an extra, an extra $5 or $10 would have went a long way at that time. So it's like, it's just kind of like a different mindset of trying to give more without expectations, or taking in consideration the burden and or anxiety or whatever that you're putting on that other person that you are trying to help when you are asking for something in return. And I think just kind of paying that forward is a lot more helpful than creating this, I'm only helping you if I get something in return, or if you're going to pay it back, or whatever it may be.
No, I wanted to say to that, I wanted to say, sorry, Randolph, one point. I wanted to say to that, shit. I was gonna
just gonna point out socialist. Go ahead.
Oh, no, something that someone had said to me, because they were trying to seek money to help support someone that really needed mental health services, because she lived in a country that could not or did not offer that support, and if they did, it was something ridiculously expensive. We pay a lot here if you don't have the right coverage, but it was even more so for her, given where she lived. And so it was a unique thing that he said, and it makes sense. It's like, well, even giving as much or as little as you can, it's only just a minor convenience or temporary inconvenience for yourself for maybe the next 1 or 2 days, but it does huge for someone that doesn't earn the money that you may earn. And it doesn't have to be some extravagant, huge donation. It can just be, if you get those little $1, $5, $10, but you have a whole host of people contributing to that, that is even greater than just a huge donation from one person. You have to build that community support in order to provide just those little few dollars to support someone that can't easily grasp or get those type of funds. It's just that minor temporary inconvenience to you to do such an impact for someone else. Go ahead, Randolph.
Oh yeah, I was just going to add to Justin's comment there, that the thing about the social programs out there, like the social assistance, is the person doesn't have to pay it back. So yeah, so giving people money is so much better, because that stress isn't there.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about it in the terms of like, if somebody borrows something, or whatever it may be, like they're worried about giving it back. You're worried about them giving it back. There's anxiety and animosity and resentment, and it's always like, what if things don't go right, then, or something else like came up that was more important. It's like a whole big deal for no reason. It's like, either you needed it or you didn't, and I had to give it or I didn't. Like, I understand that not everybody is in that situation to be able to do that. But when we're talking about something like churches and organizations that are in the position to be able to do that, and they choose to go the route that creates this problem where there doesn't need to be one, we can just do better than that.
Indeed.
Sorry, I had to dip out and miss that part. My kids were
You're
leaving, and I'm not gonna not say goodbye.
Family first.
But God damn it, I missed it.
No, well, let's play back the tape. No, it was simply just, I had made a mini rant and saying that, it doesn't have to be always these huge donations to someone to support someone in need. It could be $1, $5, $10. If you gather enough of that support from community, from people that genuinely care to see, others, prosper or just get out of their fucking situation, you can garner enough money and even more, if you genuinely, cohesively provide that support for them, is more or less what we were saying.
Yeah, quality over quantity, and that's how we, that. What up, Pat? What up, Pat? Pat in the building.
We need to get Pat on the show, actually. Justin, Pat's the business.
You better get Pat. Gotta get you the business.
That's an order from Oz.
What's that?
That's an order.
Not at all.
I had a flashback there for a minute.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did you?
from my military days. Do this.
Yeah, do this. There you go.
Hey, will you guys please have Pat on your show?
Oh, I'm so relieved. It's optional. Okay, yes.
It's optional. Okay, yes. Fucking damn it, we're gonna have Pat on the show. And Biddy. They're both good. Well,
you better
do some cross promotion there.
We got a show together, so just have them on at the same time. The Biddy
Oh.
Buddha.
Yeah, we've done that before. That works.
Oz can introduce you to, Yeah.
I'm somewhat familiar. So
He's well connected. He's just being humble.
I think that what you were saying earlier, Oz, about different ways to get started, and I'm sure you have more ways than just that yard sale thing, and I think that can be like its whole separate conversation or a blog post or write up something to get people ideas, because you've actually experienced this and went through it with people and had plenty of time to think about it. I just kind of wanted to point that out, is that there might be a lot of different ways we just don't think about it, and we're not aware that they exist.
Can I tell you, you can do it. You can do it for free. You can do it for free, and people are like, well, what are you talking about, Oz? Whether you go in your car, so maybe it's not free if you drive in your car because you're spending gas money. But let's say you ride a bike, or like I did with the scooter or whatever. Do you know one of the greatest impacts outside of helping those people find a way to start generating money and generating an income is just being their friend? One of the greatest impacts, no, not one of the greatest impact that I've had so far, is just people saying, that's my friend. When I show up, that's my friend. And like, they're wanting to take selfies with me. Like, like you would think that like a celebrity showed up, right? You would think that, but they value and they love and they appreciate the fact that I take time out of my day to go and hang out with them. And I mean, like, and I'm not saying you have to do it for hours, but I did, like, for hours. I would sit there, smoke a cigarette with them, chop it up. We'd talk about religion, politics, life, bullshit, hip hop, like whatever. We talked about anything and everything. And those days didn't cost me a dime. But it's on those days that I think the biggest impact was made, because they're like, there's a human being that's not my relative, that's not, this, not that, that cares enough about me, the person, the individual, to come down here and just fucking chill. Right? So just know that you can start for free. You don't even have to start a campaign. You don't have to start a GoFundMe. Just go be their friend. Just go be their friend.
I call that building community.
Yeah.
And this may seem off topic for secular activism, but I firmly believe that the best way to break down barriers is exposure. And by exposure, I mean interacting with people that are different from you, and just interacting with people and getting to know each other. And maybe you eventually get to religious beliefs, maybe you don't, but you interact with them as another human without preconceived notions. Then that automatically, if you do get that deep into conversations, they can go, hey, this person is secular or atheist or whatever, and I connected with them as a person before I made these ideas in my head about them, and so now I don't have to prejudge them, and so that already breaks down all those initial barriers that might have existed otherwise. And so just interacting with people is the best thing that we can do, and trying to do it in some sort of positive way.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how much more impactful that is versus just getting pizza once a year.
Oh, amen, Jena.
Well, it depends on if it has bacon on it or not.
Shit.
Oh,
well, okay, at least you didn't say pineapple.
A little bacon to go a long way.
Pineapple and bacon, all at the same time. Pineapple and bacon.
No, you didn't.
Oh, where's the organ music? Where's the organ music?
Didn't.
Right now, Justin?
No,
And here it comes. Someone's got a soundboard, I'm sure.
Why are you putting pineapple? Why are you putting pineapple on your pizza? Why?
What? No, Jena, respectfully, why are you not putting pineapple on your pizza?
See, pineapple on pizza is good as long as there's also ham or bacon. Yeah.
Sinful.
Oh no, it's like for like my daughter and I, it has to. If we get pizza, it's bacon and pineapple every time.
I got to try the bacon and pineapple one someday. I've only tried ham and pineapple.
It's the closest thing to being a theist. You feel like there's a God.
I'll take your word for it because I've never been a theist.
Thank you. See, true fan of the show.
Yeah, he should be banned.
Yeah. Wow. hey, so we don't have a Patreon or any sort of fundraising going for our show, but Oz has something going on that he's working on. If you want to send that to us, we'll put it in the chat.
And into the description.
In the description. So if you can send it to us now or whenever you can.
Yep, I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah, and we'll definitely share it. I guess we're about to wrap it up here because it looks like there's great conversation from the chat. So I want to welcome the chat into our server Discord to continue the discussion as well. So we can link in the server as well. Just, drive more forces to, aid a need. And it is a need. Trust me.
Before we go, I know Randolph wanted to mention something he has coming up, and then we can let Oz talk about anything that he has going on as well.
Mr. Richardson, King of Canada. Please.
I'm
sorry. Sir Randolph of Richardson, King of Canada.
Queen Jena. All right. Your Royal Highness has spoken. I will be on December 21st on Modern Day Debate, my first formal debate with a Muslim on the subject of what's better for humanity, atheism or Islam. I'll obviously be on the atheism side of it. So it'll be an interesting thing. I've had some feedback from a few people so far on the promotion I've done. A few of them have said Christianity beats them both. So I guess, there may be potential for a future debate with 3 parties instead of 2, and then maybe a Hindu will come along, and then we'll have to do another one with 4. I don't know where it's going to end up, but I am looking forward to it. The fellow that I'm debating with is apparently quite cordial as well, so I expect it'll be quite a good conversation mixed into it as well. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I know Oz was mentioning an event that he's doing coming up. I think you said May or something. And I think that's a very important sense of building community. And one thing I wanted to kind of touch on earlier was that comfort seems to be a big part of why these religious communities thrive. People feel comfortable because they're familiar with it, and they're going to it week after week. And so I think in building atheism communities, we should be careful not to overlook the comfort factor and see if there's some way to do it, but not a false comfort, but instead encouraging people to take comfort in the unknown, take comfort in not knowing the answer, take comfort in taking doubt as an ally, and things like that. Because I think these kinds of things can go a long way, and then be more effective at providing a replacement for people who now have the void of religion in their life after leaving a religion. Thank you very much to everyone in the audience for tuning in, and it was a pleasure talking with all three of you today. I was looking forward to seeing Cynthia as well. Hello, Cynthia. Hopefully you're watching.
Yeah, she'll get better. That's the goat right there. Ain't nothing keeping her down. Oz, what you got going on?
Well, a couple things. I was about to go straight into my satirical form there, but I'll keep it serious. So tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we have a stream that I think may or may not cost us some subscribers, but open panel discussion focused on the LGBTQ plus community. And why I say it may cost us subscribers is we're going to by the end of it get down to why there's so many cis males in our community that are afraid of having this conversation and doing it respectfully and doing it cordially, even if they do still disagree at the end of the day. So it may cost us, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I want us to have good conversations. I want us to have conversations where we're being educated and informed, and we can come together and understand each other better, right? And that's why our conference in May is titled Better. It's all about better conversations all the time, no matter what the topic is, right? So yeah, very, very, very much looking forward to that. And then I have my own show coming up here at the first year. It's the funny thing. It's my first actual scheduled show of my own on our channel. What's Your Story? It's going to be starting in January, so I'm excited for that. And Jena and Justin and Randolph have to be guests on the show starting in January. One-on-one.
Okay.
If you're familiar with David Letterman's Netflix series, where he does the interviews, not the late night, but the Netflix version, that's kind of the style. It's going to be serious and comedy, then more comedy, then serious, and having fun. But it's about getting to know the person, getting to know the human, and not about arguments or anything like that. So that's it. I'm good. I'm good.
You need to get to know this human.
Huh?
This bro right here. That's my bro.
I said Justin too. I said Justin too. So
I forgot to mention my organization earlier, the Canadian Atheists. If anybody wants to know more about that, it's at www.canadianatheists.ca. I just realized I forgot to mention that earlier. Thank you.
It's in the description.
Oh, okay.
You gave me all the links.
Yeah, kingofatheist.com will forward to that address. No, I'm kidding.
Hold on. I just realized it just now. We've been streaming for an hour and a half. Randolph is Canadian?
Surprise!
I thought we went over this before, but maybe I've forgotten.
I keep thinking Hawaiian. I do. It's the shirt. It's the Kinhoven shirt. I can't
the
get past
godfather of atheism, Randolf Richardson.
Thank you. Look at that. You earned a donation. Appreciate that. Thank you. That is
Thank you,
fan
Baron
of the show. That is a fan of the show.
Jenna, what are we doing the rest of this year? I don't know if we have anything scheduled.
Oh, we do, bro. Because I'm tirelessly working on it. And I mean tirelessly because I'm fucking tired. We have this show premiering next week. Episode 2. We had special guest Mike Carey on. This is our IFWAS series. We are parents. Of course, the usuals, Justin, Laura, Richard, Bree. But we did have special guest Mike Carey from the PSF, Promethean Secular Frontier. Whew, that's a long name. Talk to Josh about that name. But it's gonna kill me later. Yes, we are gonna premiere that show.
It's also PSF, right? It's a lot shorter.
It is.
When you use what they never.
Hold on, you have that Joker. You have that Joker, Mike Carey coming on. You have that Joker coming on.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, no. It was a good. It was very.
Hey, we didn't interrupt you.
No, I saw Mike Carey's name, Justin. Justin, I have to, when I see a Joker's name, I got to point out the Joker's name. No, Mike's my dude. I was being funny.
Yeah. No, you're good. No, it was a good discussion. It could have gone longer, but we tried to keep this series as a little around to 45 minutes. But it was a lot that we could have touched on because of discussing mental health, especially if you're a parent that goes through mental health issues and you have a child that recognizes the same, how to address that, when to approach it, how to appropriately find that support, all of that we touched, and we could have gone deeper. So I can't wait for that one to premiere. Please, Jena, finish the fucking editing. But also at the end of the year, we are gonna premiere a little reel clip of just looking back at all of the International Free Thinkers shows. Like, I can't tell you how many times my background has changed, or how my hair either changed to purple, to black, to long, to short. And then, progressively Justin just gets less and less drunk.
I remember the purple.
I remember the purple. So it just moved back to my background.
Good. It was really good.
It was all right. I don't miss it. Anyway, but other than that, of course, we want to obviously Oz and Cynthia and a few hosts of others were on our hip hop series. So we're going to kick that off again in the new year sometime in January, because apparently, according to Oz, we don't talk enough hip hop. He threw some shade at us the other day.
If you want to talk about things that we like talking about, we got to talk about that almost all the time.
I feel like there was okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think I know what you just said there, but to not be highly assumptive, yes, we can talk about hip hop all the time.
Mm-hmm. Randolph has a rap name, Rated R. We forgot about that.
That's right.
Wow. All right. This is getting.
Oh shit. What? Oh shit.
Oz remembers.
Hold on. Before we wrap, we got to, because Justin, I know you're a hip hop fan, so we got to chop this up real quick. We got. You need, Justin. You need to know this. You need to be in the know.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, I'm a huge fan of, and I encourage, like, backstage on especially on our shows, but other shows, like we do freestyle battles, right? And we just start getting in. Well, Randolph was there one of the first nights that we did it on, after Neil's show, and Randolph like he wrote some shit. He wrote some shit. He wrote some shit and then delivered. And he had some bars. He had some bars, and we're like, oh, now you are rated R.
Oh,
now you are rated R, and that's your hip hop name, whether you like it or not. That's your rap name.
Yeah, the best names are given to you.
So, yeah, that's what happened.
See, what happened was.
It was too good.
It was
too good.
Randolph won a backstage battle rap.
Wait, are you laying down your lyrics in the private chat?
Oh my goodness!
You saved this shit.
Of course, I saved it. It wasn't being recorded.
Wow.
Okay, sorry. We're gonna save that. I'm gonna copy and paste that shit in the server.
Oh,
hilarious! All right, thank you, Oz. Rated R.
I have to admit, I cheated slightly at the freestyle because it was my first time. I wrote it up before I freestyled, so it wasn't a full freestyle. But y'all gave me a pass because it was my first time.
Save it for the fans.
Hands up.
I can't.
That was so much fun.
If you're listening, Cynthia, hope you're feeling better. We'll bring you back on the next time. Oh, mini announcement, because we did kind of discuss this as something we wanted to do. We're going to bring this conversation back as far as secular activism, just, you know, building onto the conversation, because it is a need, and we want to try and strive to grow our community so we can grow better support, effective support that does not apply a God belief. That is the purpose. And so we will bring both Oz, Randolph, and Cynthia, and any other lovely people out there in the internet universe place that does the type of activism that these folks do brilliantly. By all means, you're welcome, and we'll bring it back in the next 1 to 2 months. We'll see. But until then, we'll see you all in the Discord. Moderators, link all that, descriptions, all that good stuff. Follow us, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.